Hello there, YouTube. How the hell are you? My name is Vac, and I play Marvel Strike Force. And today I'm here to talk to you about a question I commonly receive. Dark Dimension. All of it, right? All of Dark Dimension. How do we get into it? What are the best characters? What are your thoughts on it? Etc. So I figured today we'd just run through it fairly quickly. So here's where I'm at in Dark Dimension 3. I'm just almost done with the majority of my Dark Dimension journey. And I got 2 nodes left. And I'm, of course, going to do a second run. And then after that, I am never touching this crap game mode again. And that's my thought. It sucks. It's long, it's grindy, it's not very fun, most importantly. And there's really only one reason any of us does it, is it's got a really big carrot at the end. All 3 modes. Very helpful rewards. Terrible, terrible gameplay. And I think there's some of the worst game. It's the worst game mode in the game, I think, at this point. I don't like it. And I can't wait to put it in my rear view. And I think I can give you some tips on just how to get through it with less pain and just put it in your rear view mirror. So, first off, it sucks, but do it anyway, right? Like I said, the rewards are great. Second off, don't really focus too much on optimization, especially in Dark Dimension 1. Just get in there. When you get some characters ready to go, don't hold off waiting for a better team. Get in there, because it's not a game mode that you're going to run through in a short amount of time. You'll see spurts of progress, but largely you're just going to be beating your head against a brick wall and just eroding it over time. It's not a fast game mode at all, and you really shouldn't be in a hurry, except maybe Dark Dimension 2. You should kind of hurry to get Ultron early in the game, but I would not put it as your number one priority, because I'm a guy that always prioritizes Arena. Arena's more important. The rewards you're going to get at the end of Dark Dimension, whichever phase of it you're on, will be good, but they'll be there when you get there. They're not going anywhere. And if you let your Arena team suffer so that you can build a Dark Dimension team, that's cores you're losing every single day. And Dark Dimension takes days, and then weeks, and then months. So it's going to take a long time no matter what you do, unless you wail out considerably. So don't get yourself in too big a hurry. Keep your eyes on the prize, work for that Ultron, but don't let your other game modes suffer, particularly Arena. And in that interest, the main thing you got to worry about is just getting in there and making daily progress, right? Still fireworks. My apologies for that. It's right after the 4th of July, if you're watching this later. So, Dark Dimension 1, right? You need a 6-star character to go in there, right? Now, it's not as critical as you think to have an optimized team. But you need 6-star characters for sure. And it's probably best if they're gear tier 11. All right? So start making progress, even if they're not gear tier 11. As soon as you get some 6-star characters, start throwing them in there. They'll die if they're not a well-composed team, right? If it's just the first 6 that you get to 6 stars and you're early in the game and you're farming up shards, then yeah, it's probably not going to be optimal. But it's better than not going in there for the day, right? So just send those characters in there to die, and eventually you'll have 2 or even 3 teams worth. And so just send them in. They're just cannon fodder. Throw them in there, let them die, let them make a little bit of progress. Eventually you'll put together a better optimized team that will roll you on through the end of it. And that probably should be your Arena team. You should be working on your Arena team at that stage of the game, your first Arena team probably, maybe your second if you're a little late getting to the ball on this. So that's probably going to be either Punfenders or Guardians of some sort, or if you're a little farther into the game, maybe a BKT, or even if you're pay to win, an Asgard team. I hate saying that, but if you're a paying player, then you might have gone in and just bought yourself an Asgard team to start. That's certainly what I would recommend if you have the money to spend. And all of those will do okay, right? They'll all do fine. This Dark Dimension 1, not the hugest deal. It's not the most difficult thing you're going to face in Dark Dimension. It's just there to warm you up. And more importantly, to get you some T4 gear that you can then use to prepare yourself for Dark Dimension 2. All right. So again, I would recommend using whatever team you're focusing on to get yourself up in arena. That's probably the team you should do this with. You're probably getting them all to 6 stars more than other characters out there. And like I say, Pun Fenders is probably where you should start, especially if you're free to play, or Guardians if you think you want to jump straight to that and you can get Star-Lord. And then a BKT will roll right through this, if you got them nice and leveled. So not a big deal either way. You'll get through it just from simple persistence. So the first hint, or the first tip that I can give you on Dark Dimension 2, and I have some thoughts on this mode. Don't waste your DD1 mats. That's number one. You're going to get a whole lot of gear mats for T4 when you finish Dark Dimension 1, right? First and second run are both going to give you a lot of mats. Don't waste them. Put them all into characters that you intend to take into Dark Dimension 2. Otherwise, it will be longer before you get in there, and the longer it takes you to get in there, the longer it takes you to get done, right? So, number one, you want to farm that gear, all right, out of Dark Dimension 1, and while you're prepping for Dark Dimension 2, get yourself in the habit of store farming. And it's a habit you should probably maintain throughout your entire playtime, but you want to every single day, every single refresh of this store. You can see here it's another 7 hours before this store refreshes. You want to get in here every single time, and you want to look for uniques. All right, mini uniques, things like this unstable cloth, and things like superior serum. Okay, and have a look at what characters that they go to. And if they go to characters that you're planning on taking into Dark Dimension 3 or 2, then go ahead and pick them up. Pre-farm, really. You'll save yourself a lot of headaches later when you get to this point where you want to get in there, but you don't quite have what one character finished, and you're just sitting there looking at this store every day. Oh, please give me what I want. Please give me what I want. Don't put yourself in that position. Pre-farm, all right? So then the actual roles that you want to put together for building a team in Dark Dimension is pretty standard, right? You want a tank, you need some DPS, although that's not as important as cleansing, energy batteries, and buffers, right? Honestly, you don't even need to focus that heavy on DPS if you take a DPS character at all. And I really didn't. So, Arena, all right? If you're in Arena right at this stage of the game and you're working on Arena, if you're following my advice, you're probably somewhere right around using a best Kree team, which is Guardians plus Thanos and Minerva. And let's see about this. Hang on, I think I got this ready to pull up. Oh, we're on the Ronin. So that's a Guardian team. But what I'm talking about is a best Kree team. And it looks pretty much like this. Now, right about the time that you're getting into Dark Dimension 2, that's probably the best Arena team that's available to you, because you really need an Ultron and a Phoenix and other characters to get any better in Arena at that point. So if you have one of these, lean into them. Take him to Gear 13. Not necessarily Rocket. I'd leave him off. But the rest are critical. Now, and I say this because what I consider to be the Holy Trinity in Dark Dimension 2 are contained within this team. And that is specifically, number one, Minerva. Minerva is the key that unlocks Ultron. 100%. And there's a big reason for that. And that's her ultimate. Now, we're not going to pull it up and read it now. It's not even that important. But just know that her ultimate ability is different from other damaging abilities in the game. And that is because every other character in the game, for the most part, does a flat amount of damage modified by a percentage. But she does a straight percentage damage, 10% of the enemy's health, period, right? So while everybody else's damage becomes much less impactful when you go into Dark Dimension 2, because the enemies have massively buffed health pools, hers becomes better. So what I found going in, I took some damaging characters in at first, is that Minerva was quickly out damaging all of my DPS. And so I clued in pretty quickly, and some other content creators were talking about it at the time, that her 10% flat was a massive amount of damage. It hits everybody on the field, does 10% health to all of them, and because you're draining so much health with her, you're pretty much going to top off all of your characters to full every single time you do it. So once you realize the overpowered nature of that, she quickly becomes the most important character to take into Dark Dimension 2, bar none. Now don't get me wrong, there's some newer characters that have come out since that would be pretty good as well, but you probably don't have those characters if you're early enough in the game that you need to get yourself an Ultron. So focus on that Minerva, and you want to do with her exactly what I've showed you here. You want a Star-Lord on one side of her, and you want a Thanos on the other. Thanos will be her tank, but also he's feeding energy to her. Star-Lord also feeding energy to her. And that's how you beat Dark Dimension 2, is you love Minerva, you feed Minerva, and you protect Minerva. And every character on the team should be working to that end, period. She's going to do all the work. You don't need to get in a hurry. You just need to get in there, get her started, and get as many of her ultimates rolling as you can. Much like you do with Rocket and a Raid or something like that, you do it with Minerva in Dark Dimension 2. And the team that I took in when I beat it, and later when I beat it again on my free-to-play account, was this one. Now, Groot is an excellent choice to take in there with them, in no small part because of his special. He's got two roles that he fills in the group. He uses his special to keep defense ups on everybody and death proofs, and then he uses his ultimate to cleanse debuffs, and that will be very useful. You need a cleanser in here. So he's going to fulfill both of those roles, and you're going to have what I like to do is carry Nick Fury in there to back him up, and so that he also on his special has the defense ups. So whoever, you don't want to stack them. You want to kind of watch and stagger them, but keep those defense ups on everybody. And Thanos will have a lot easier time tanking this thing. And your Thanos will get low, but then she'll use an ultimate and he goes right back to full again. And so you're kind of walking a razor line sometimes, but it is easily the most effective way to push through this game mode, Dark Dimension 2. So this is the team I suggest. But honestly, you could mix it up a little bit. As long as you're carrying that Holy Trinity, as far as I'm concerned, these three on the right, the others are, you can debate it. You could debate it. You could, for instance, if you're getting in a little too early and you don't have Minerva, I would suggest maybe Scientist Supreme in that role. Just get in there, right? Just get in there, like I said. So Minerva is clearly the key to Ultron, but if you don't have a Minerva, but you have enough characters to 13 that you're ready to get in there, then get in there. Scientist Supreme would be a good choice. She'll fill the role okay. She's not going to do as much damage. You'll probably need to swap out one of these other characters for a DPS, but she'll do okay, and more importantly, you'll need her high later on to do Ultima 7. So it's not a terrible thing to raise her. Another character to consider putting in one of these spots is Falcon. Also would do well in the role. And then on your second run, take Ultron. Right? As soon as you finish this first run, and you'll do it fine. You'll do it easy with this team I'm showing you right here. Number one, your Fury will be ready for a great war defense. You'll have a fantastic BKT to continue running in Arena. And in fact, what I would do is, as soon as you get Ultron together and get him to 7 stars, replace him for Thanos on this team and use that as your Arena team until you can get Phoenix, etc. So use Ultron on your second run. When you finish the first run, get him to 13, get him ready to go, and then get back in there. You don't have to be in too big a hurry, because when you start it, it's a timed run, and you're probably not going to set any speed records. You just want to finish it a second time. So get Ultron ready to go, and then get in there, knock it out quick, and get the best time you can get, just to brag with your buddies, I guess. And if that doesn't matter to you, then just get right back in there. One way or another, you just want to get Ultron to 7 stars. And then we go, so that's pretty much all the advice I have for DD2. So now we get to the meat of the matter, Dark Dimension 3. Dark Dimension 3 is an agonizing game mode. And whereas in these previous modes, or previous, they will take you days sometimes to get through a node, take you a week to get through the entire thing. Dark Dimension 3 is going to take you months, unless you really wail out and do it Tadano Mac Japan style, which I wouldn't recommend. It's going to take you forever, and that's okay. It's just another daily task that you're going to do. There's no need to be in a hurry now. You've already got your Ultron. You're going to get a lot of good stuff for Dark Dimension 3, but it's not going anywhere. None of it's going anywhere. When you finish it, whenever that is, you're going to get that stuff. So don't go and raise a bunch of characters that are not going to be important in other game modes and then hinder yourself there. Don't neglect your arena. Don't neglect your Ultima 7 team. Those are way more important than Dark Dimension 3, and I cannot stress that enough. Nothing is more important than your daily core income from arena. And so for me, I went in with my arena team first. The first 4 nodes, you can take anybody in there. Just work your arena team up. Dominate your arena. And then take that team into DD3. And even with your best team, I can tell you right now, prepare yourself mentally, because you will be faced with daily pain and embarrassment. You're going to run in there every day and get wrecked. And then you're going to come back the next day and do it again. And that's why it's not that fun of a game mode. But you want the rewards. So fun or not, get in there and chip away every day. Now, I went into Dark Dimension 3 with a team that was at the time pretty dominant in arena. And actually Black Order was just coming in at about that time. So I was raising Black Order to 14 also. But what I ended up doing was starting everything with a team that looked like this. And this was the arena team that I was using just before Black Order. And this is a good team to get yourself started for those first few nodes. I mean, those nodes are painful, man. The third one especially, you have no idea what you're going to, the feelings that will be stirring within your breast when you see 2 or 3 Miss Marvels on the field, all of whom are beefy as hell, and they're cross-taunting off of each other and self-healing. It is so frustrating. But here's the character that's going to get you through it. Phoenix. All right? For basically the first 4 nodes plus the global nodes, nobody was more important than Phoenix. You kind of get in there, and no matter what you do, you're going to die pretty quick. You're going to die within 2, 3, 4 rounds. At some point, you're going to fall apart and crumble. It's just going to happen. So you want to do as much damage as you can before that happens. So Phoenix is the one for that. And the best advice I can give you is don't stealth the group, right? Usually when you're playing Phoenix, you run out there, the first thing you do is you stealth the group and you say, here I am, I'm Phoenix, come get me. Don't do that. That will backfire on you in this game mode. And more often than not, what they'll do is they'll kill that character twice before anybody else comes out of stealth. And then you don't do nothing with Phoenix. She's useless at that point. So don't do that. These other characters, they're going to do what damage they can in there, but they're mostly just going to be just cannon fodder to keep Phoenix alive. Give them, 4 to 7 or more other characters to shoot besides Phoenix, all right? Especially once you've got her killed and move her up to Dark Phoenix. So for me, that early half of Dark Dimension 3, I called it a win if I could get Phoenix's ultimate off. I called it a decent day if I could get her, Dark Phoenix special off. But if I got that ultimate off, the big boom, that was a good day. That was great progress. And so you just chip away at it like that every day. Now, what I did was I spent enough cores to do 2 attacks a day just to cut the time this is going to take me in half. But that's a good bit of wailing out for nothing, to be quite honest, because I'm going to get the same rewards as somebody who takes their time with it. So if you're on a tight budget, I wouldn't recommend you do that. So again, opening nodes, take your best arena team. And if you're doing things right and following my advice, then it should look something like this. You're probably pre-Black Order at this point, especially if you're a new player working up to Dark Dimension 3 now. But Black Order is very useful in here too. And if that's your Dark Dimension, if that's your arena team, then make it your Dark Dimension team to go, right? Maybe think about adding Phoenix to it because she was insanely useful for me. So in the global phase, For global, I of course reused a lot of those characters. And again, Phoenix, by far, the most important of them. And still did the majority of the damage, everything else. Now, I will say that Sinister, pretty useful. Pretty useful. Being able to clone just the character you feel like you need at that moment was handy. But I'll tell you, even more useful was a Yo-Yo. Because I was finding toward the end of the opening stage and then getting in toward the end of the global stage that no tanks in the game. I mean, my beefy Thanos had no chance in the opening modes. I mean, he mostly stayed alive, but a lot of time he was just like a hit point battery for Phoenix, essentially. So Yo-Yo is the best protector in the whole thing, if you ask me, because she's not trying to taunt and tank, right? None of these tanks have the hit points to stand up to the punishment that's going to be dished out to you in this mode. Instead, Yo-Yo, who, if she has a good focus, will most likely more often than not, land her defense or offense down. So she's cutting everybody's damage in half passively, and that is way more important. So I found that through the whole global phase, I would do okay standing up to them. I'd get some damage done. I'd make some daily progress. But if Yo-Yo went down, everybody else folded quickly. Yo-Yo is an incredible character to take in there. But, maybe you don't have a Yo-Yo. Maybe you get there a little quicker than me, or you don't wail out quite as hard, and that's cool. I also found Fury and Coulson to be very useful. I went in with them because I had spent some time beefing up my war defense. But maybe you don't do that. So in that case, I would suggest characters like Falcon or Shuri, or really, if you've got a Phoenix get maxed out and you just want to max your whole X-Men out, that's not terrible either. All right, just as long as you've got a good team to take in there with Phoenix and do a little daily progress every day. So then you get done with global, you move on to cosmic. And throughout all of this, I feel like you should focus on raising characters that are going to be useful to you in other nodes or other game modes, but also you need to kind of spread around your uniques, because if you try to do, it's real easy to think, oh, well, the best characters for this are almost all bio, all of these, right? Every single section, and so you really can't overload on bio like that. So you kind of got to pick and choose. So for cosmic, again, I found Minerva to be incredibly useful for the same exact reason as Dark Dimension 2. She does 10% health to every guy on the field. It's up to 10 characters at once. And she's going to pretty much top off everybody on your team to full health when she does it. So the same things apply. Take her in there with people who will generate energy for her and keep her alive. So I think I used a lot of different characters for the cosmic phase, but I really think the three I found the most useful were Minerva, Thanos, and Ebony Maw. So I realize you may not have all those characters, but Minerva I hope at least you have by this point, and she will be super useful. And then Thanos and Maw, I've been working a Black Order, so Maw is just pretty well great for this mode. He's got a good heal, he's got great buffs. You want those defense ups, so there's a lot to recommend him. And so who you take for the next two on that team is pretty debatable. There's a lot of good choices. If you don't have a Maw, I'd probably try to take an Invisible Woman, would be a good choice. You've probably already got a Black Bolt ready to go. I'd take him just for the damage. He's not going to do a whole lot until he gets his ultimate ready to go, but it's better than nothing. Captain Marvel, another great choice for this game mode, does some pretty good damage right out of the gate and has some good sustain with her self-heal. Star-Lord is another great energy battery that if you feel like you want to raise him all the way up to 14 and take him in there, not a bad choice. Hela, not terrible. And if you wanted to go with a full Black Order team, I don't think that would be the worst thing ever. It'll probably get you through there. Pretty good. So those are all great choices. But the problem is you get to the end of Cosmic and you have to deal with City. And thankfully, City seems to be one of the easier sections, at least so far. I got 2 more nodes, so I don't want to put my foot in my mouth. But I've largely cleared the early part of it with 1 or 2 or 3 characters. I only had 1 character going in, and that was Symbiote Spider-Man. And he's easily the most important, right? I think everybody will tell you that. Everybody pretty much agrees on that. Symbiote Spider-Man is fantastic in this game mode and is your best choice for city character. And the problem is, though, is that most of these city characters are not that great, right? They're not characters you're going to use in other modes a whole lot. And they're really not, by and large, any of them worth the investment in gear. But you got to do it because you want to finish this thing, right? So what I've been doing is I spread my uniques around. I didn't have optimally, you want Symbiote, Spider-Man, Carnage, and Venom. They're going to be your 3 best characters to take in there. And they probably can the 3 of them finish the whole thing out from every account that I've heard. And from what I've been seeing in there, I believe that. The problem is that they're all bio, and you're going to need massive amounts of mini uniques like marrow extract and alien goo or whatever the green thing is. You need a ton of them, right? It's hard to get all those characters to 14 in time. And so if you plan out well ahead of time, then sure, do that. Get all 3 of those symbiotes ready to go. You can use them in the beginning phase. They'll do great, right? If you can, get them ready to go. But what I had to do is I had to kind of spread my stuff around. So I raised a bio character in Symbiote Spider-Man, and then I raised a mystic character in Ghost Rider, who's probably your second best choice outside of the symbiotes. And then just because he was easy to get there, I raised up Punisher because I had plenty of skill gear and I didn't have any bio gear. So Punisher goes in there, and he's not the most useful in there, but he's helping me make progress, right? And he's a lot like Black Bolt. When he gets his ultimate, he does some damage, and the rest of the time, he's just kind of there. But being kind of there is not terrible because he's getting shot instead of my better characters, and then when he dies, Ghost Rider does a wallop of damage to the enemy. So it's not a terrible thing, right? You're going to die one way or the other. It's better just to get some characters and get in there. So other good choices, not that any of them are great choices, but again, of course, Venom and Carnage should be high on your list. And I also kind of like Kingpin, right? He's another character that can provide defense ups, and he can also provide offense ups, and he can summon some characters that, flooding the field is it's not the most effective thing, but it does provide more targets for the CPU to hit aside from your important characters. So flooding the field's not terrible. So, and then, if you really, even defenders would work here. If you really wanted, if you just decided that you wanted a 500k defenders on your war defense, then you could raise them up and they'll do okay in there. I think they'll probably get it done. I haven't verified that myself, but if that's something you wanted to do, then go ahead and pull the trigger. But I would probably more recommend the 3 symbiotes plus Ghost Rider and Kingpin. That would probably be my optimal team if I were able to build that. And it's not always going to be the case that you can take your optimal team. Just go with what you got sometimes and make daily progress. That's the most important thing in Dark Dimension. Work on it every day. One day you'll get it done, and that will be, my friends, a happy day, I assure you, because it's trash. So anyway, that's my thoughts on Dark Dimension. I hope you find them useful. If you got any questions or you see a flaw in my planning, hit me up in the comments and we'll do a little theory crafting and try to find something that works for your roster. So until I see you again, be cool, keep gaming. I'm back and I'm out of here.